And I'm here this morning to introduce you to our own marketing session speaker, Jamie Levy. Jamie is the head of merchant engagement at Shopify Plus, where she has over 10 years of experience working with top e-commerce brands.
Thank you. So again, I'm Jamie Levy. I head up the merchant engagement function for Shopify Plus. While most of Shopify is based in Canada, I am a lone wolf in Los Angeles. Really happy to be here in Boston today, especially because the weather has been nicer since I got in yesterday than it is in Los Angeles all year round. So yay, Boston. So today I'm going to be talking about creating connections through unexpected online and offline experiences, which really could have been renamed. It's just some cool stuff that brands are doing that hopefully will spark ideas for your brands and your teams back within your organizations. So I've been in this industry, as Zara said, for over 10 years. I'm just going to get it out of the way. I am 38 years old. I know, right? Not terrible. A few weeks ago, I got a call from Parker Nelson, who's in the back. He's from Klaviyo, and he was asking me if I would speak at the conference and speak about owned marketing and speak about my experience and what I've seen brands do and where they've been successful. And my entire role is based around and focused on just talking to brands, hearing what their peaks and pits are, what's keeping them up at night, where they've skinned their knees, the questions that they have for other brands, and then putting them in touch with other brands. It's basically the best job in the world, and I'm a dot connector and a matchmaker, and I'm so excited to meet more of you over the next 2 days. So that same day that Parker called me and asked if I would speak today, I told you I'm 38, which means that it's my 20th high school reunion coming up, which is terrifying. But thankfully, I grew up in Chicago, and I left Chicago about 12 years ago, so I'm not going to go. But when I got the invitation, it took me immediately back to high school, and immediately this is what I thought of, because when I was in high school, I loved to shop. I still love to shop today. Nothing has changed, except for the fact that malls don't look like this anymore. There are so many articles out there, as I'm sure some of you have seen, decrepit pictures of abandoned malls, and it's very disheartening. But this is what I think of when I think of shopping in high school. The red sales signs, the only thing that was different was the percentage off that they were offering on the signs, unforgiving salespeople, ridiculously harsh return policies, and it was just a different time. I would go into the mall, the east entrance. My mom would drop me off in her Mazda MPV. I don't know why I remember that. I don't know if they still make those, but she would drop me off. I would go to Sam Goody. Sometimes I would try to get the new Alanis Morissette CD, look at their content, which would be the new posters that they had on the wall, to the Disney store, to Banana Republic. I always gave in to temptation at Cinnabon, which literally, when I look at this, I can smell the Cinnabon. So this is not what the experience is like today. There's nothing templated. As consumers, we know more, and we demand more, and we expect more across different channels, across different brands. Every single touch point of a relationship is incredibly important. And brands can no longer rest on the laurels of having a physical presence in something like this. And then I think of the only actual connection that I had in high school when I was at the mall was with these amazing original influencers, the shirtless models at Abercrombie & Fitch. But so when we think about experiences today, aside from shirtless models, brands have to be everywhere, at the ready, with new and exciting content and new and exciting ways of engaging with your customers and with the entire world. So again, it's not just about being in a physical presence. You have to be creative about the ways that you're reaching out and touching your audience and prospective audience. So today, there are over 820,000 brands on Shopify in over 175 countries, which is amazing, and it's awesome. And I'm not in sales, so I'm not going to talk about selling anything, but we do have a couple Shop-a-folk in the room if you want to talk to them after, or at any point during the next 2 days. But it's a lot of brands, and it's amazing, and we love being able to facilitate and lowering the barrier to entry for people to start their own business and selling their dreams and getting into a completely different part of their life. We have a lot of later in life entrepreneurs. We have people that are at large companies. We call them intrapreneurs, and they'll do a side hustle, and then they end up bringing Shopify into their larger organization. And it's really incredible what we're seeing. But with all of these brands that are constantly coming to the market, everyone is competing for the same attention. We can only get so many things in front of an audience, and they're coming from every channel, from every device. We have to be optimized, and we have to be incredibly authentic. And there's actually been conversations recently about whether or not the human memory is less than that of a goldfish. So when we think about amazing experiences with brands or with companies or with organizations or even with people, I think about what resonates with me. Like what's the last amazing customer experience that you had, or just a connection with a brand? Maybe you felt like you were being catered to directly, or like you were part of a community. Maybe you felt like they were anticipating your needs before you had them. The brands that are able to do that and that are authentic in the connections, I think are the ones that are really winning today. So commerce is changing. It's no longer the store with the red sales sign with the differing percentage off. It's led by the consumer. We connect on an individual level, and it's driven by purpose. This is retail today. There are D2C brands that are completely dismantling the way that traditional retail operates. They're changing the model, the distribution models, by being able to ship direct to consumer. They're experimenting with pop-ups and different kind of in real life experiences. And they're just not relying on anyone else. They're bringing it themselves, and they're owning it the entire way. So we're going to talk about owned channels to create some personalized connections. Like I said earlier, hopefully, I'm going to talk about some cool shit that brands are doing, and hopefully this can spark some ideas for your own brands. No surprise, we're in e-commerce. I'll start with an on-site experience. Some of the ones that were highlighted this morning I thought were absolutely amazing. Brooklinen was talked about, Brass was talked about. Entrepreneurs that have really started their organizations based on a need that they had that have just grown exponentially because it's a need that others have. So this is Spoke. Spoke is a UK brand that was founded on the need for the perfect fitting men's pants. In a world where sizing variations are aplenty, Spoke has hacked that traditional sizing system. They have more than 200 sizes, but if they were to lead with the fact that they have more than 200 sizes, it would be incredibly off-putting. So this is their landing page. There's a clear call to actions. We cut our trousers in more sizes, custom finish, flawless fit. You can find your flawless fit in 60 seconds or less. I definitely have 60 seconds to see what my flawless fit will be. And so they take you on a 10-question path. We all know about personalization and the importance of having that direct connection with the consumer and making it about them as an individual. But I love what Spoke does. They use language that I would use, maybe not to the person's face, but how would you describe your build for those in the back? The choices are Slim Jim, Average Joe, Dad Bod Dean, Shredded Pete, Hulky Harry. You don't have to tell me what you would be, but I think we all know that I'm a Dad Bod Dean. So the next question is, how do you fasten your wristwatch? Well, first of all, I happen to be wearing a Fitbit today, but I don't wear a watch, but that's just a bizarre question to me, but I'm sure that they've done a lot of research as to how that would impact the way that my pants fit and where I might put my pants. No matter what, if I wear a watch or not, I'm intrigued. I want to know what the next question is. So after I complete the 10 questions, I get this. They tell me what my sizes would be. These are the 5 fits that they think would be the best for me. I haven't given them any of my information, but I have somewhat of a connection. Spoke, of course, uses Klaviyo, and they can use this information then to better target. So this one's a little bit different. Is anybody familiar with Man Repeller? Great. Okay, for those of you who aren't, Man Repeller was, it's a very non-traditional media company. Their mission is making women feel understood and less alone by fostering community. And it was started by this woman, Leandra Medine Cohn, and recently she branched out and created an actual brand, the Man Repeller brand. It's this experiential extension of Man Repeller, and like their media company that doesn't fit in a box, neither does their e-commerce site. So you go to the Man Repeller shop, and you automatically have the chance to play or to shop. And if you choose one or the other, it's still at the top of the page. You can go back to the other. But it almost feels like a conversation. Like, we don't go into a store. We wouldn't have a conversation and just say what we needed the outcome to be. There's time for like a little chatter. It's a little like friendly. So you go to Man Repeller. And you can do Mad Libs. And if Mad Libs aren't your thing, you can play the piano, and this actually works. And there's a sound thing on the top left. And you can still go back and shop, and it just is kind of like a break. It's so unexpected. I think that it makes it easier to have a different kind of feeling toward the brand and toward the site. And I've now done this since I discovered it 6 times. Okay. I don't know any e-commerce conference or any commerce conference or really anyone who isn't talking about Glossier today. What Glossier does incredibly well is they really focus on the community. They have pictures of real people. They have their audience creating the content. It's accessible. It's amazing. Something else that they do, aside from having the founder be the face of Glossier, in addition to these other real people, and if you don't remember, I have already given my age. Again, I'm 38 years old. If you remember when Emily Weiss was an intern on The Hills, it was a very good part of the show. So what Emily does is sometimes she'll write an email, she'll send something out to the audience asking for their ideas, and she's bringing them into that entire product innovation part of her world. And it establishes the connection. It allows people to think that they are contributing to the product and where they're going. And it allows her to make this direct connection with a broader audience. And whether or not they take the suggestions into account, she'll share them with people. And she'll say, we've heard a lot of this, and then they drill down and they use other own channels and other ways to drill down further to determine where they're going to take those ideas next. Rothy's has a bit of a different approach to community, but how they involve their individuals and their audience and their consumers is by highlighting them directly on the site. They have the Instagram hashtag Rothy's in the wild, and it inspires people to take pictures of them wearing their shoes and where they are and where their Rothy's are in the wild. And it's awesome. And then they put them on the site. And so people are like, wow, I got my Rothy's. I'm going to take a picture. And then I'm going to it's not famous, but then they're highlighted on the site. And sometimes Rothy's will put pictures of people's tweets about Rothy's on the site. And it's just that one-on-one connection. And I think it's really deepened the audience connection with the brand. Outdoor voices, another one that's coming up more and more these days. I was in Canada last week, which is why you see the Rogers on the top of my cell phone and why I was up at 11:31 p.m. Because I'm on PST normally. So I got this email from Rothy's, and it was join us Friday at the global climate strike. And they were encouraging people to join at a store, and nothing about their product, nothing about the store. It was all about climate change. And it says clearly, protect our playground, calling all recreationalists. And they were gathering people for a local rally. It's establishing that community inside of the existing community. And if you're not near a local store, find a strike near you. And I thought it was using that platform for incredible good and really for encouraging that community piece. Outdoor Voices also has a ton of opportunities for in real life community, even outside of their stores. If you go to they have a new site called The Recreationalist, their content site, and it's all about the people, the planet, and the product. And they have tour guides, so if you're going to visit a different city, they have playlists, they have deep dives. I think right now on the cover is Ty Haney, who is the founder of Outdoor Voices, interviewing the founder of Lululemon. Like, it's stuff that you want to read. It's a relationship. It's sort of like, oh, they kind of read my mind and they know, how to keep me engaged. And again, it's not just about the product. It's really about that community piece. Do I have to press this again? So, Kith. Has anybody been to a Kith store? Mac, you're cool. So Kith stores are very cool. Kith itself is a multifunctional lifestyle brand. And a couple weeks ago, they released their Kith Air line during Fashion Week, which is historically incredibly exclusive. And they live streamed the whole thing. They told all of their audience, anyone who was signed up for their emails in advance, that they were live streaming this. And they took their audience to something that is otherwise incredibly exclusive. They gave them the front row. And it was a really amazing show. Fenty also did this last week with Amazon. So digital storytelling. I'm just going to let this speak for itself, and then we'll talk about it later.
Mongolia, and we are not them. The only company in the world who's created a premium 100% cashmere sweater for just $75 that you can wear when you water a forest? What are you doing, man? To do that, we needed kids like this. No, these kids don't work for us. They inspire us. And actually, we work for them. Through a series of nonprofits, we've built this park, planted over 2,000 trees, built more than 30 miles of fencing, inoculated over 1 million goats, and set the mood for breeding action like this. Oh my golly. It all started a few years ago when we came to Mongolia and fell in love with the country, the people, and the baby goats. But not in a weird way, just in a frolicking way. We realized that by going into the cashmere business and cutting out the middleman, we could pay our friends more and sell luxury products for less. It's simple, kind of. You still have to turn this into this, because this doesn't count, unless you're Bjork. It goes like this. We buy the raw cashmere and drive it 36 hours to the capital. Well, we don't drive it, Bogul does. And when Bogul falls asleep, Gan takes over. Once there, we wash and dehair the raw material until Turgan gives it a thumbs up. We then go 600 miles to a top-of-the-line spinning facility with Italian machinery. You can tell they're Italian because the machines are powered by pasta. No? Okay. Mr. Chen owns the place. He's not Italian. Otherwise, he would have liked that joke. But he really does make the best cashmere yarn in the world. Finally, the yarn goes to this family-owned facility where we are now part of the family. And this family has created the most comfortable and stylish sweaters in the world. Sweaters that are perfect for reading a book, pillow talk, being a model on a fancy photo shoot, standing in a doorway, laughing in that same doorway, lounging in a bathtub in front of an old barn, drinking coffee.
It's matcha.
And I don't know what that means. Point is, we treat the environment and everyone along the way with care and respect, so that we can make luxury sweaters that are 100% cashmere that only cost $75. It wasn't easy, but we busted our humps. Relax, it's just a figure of speech. The $75 sweater, only from Notto.
Right, so they've taken this traditional owned channel, they've made a video, it bleeds through all of their marketing. And it's an amazing way of teaching us about the product, their people, and their purpose. I think it's hard as brands to put true faces behind the brand. We had a few brands at Shopify last week, and somebody said, you're like Google, you're like a black box. And every brand is at the root. So how can we really make those authentic and genuine connections? I think they do it very well through video, and they're able to use this and repurpose it through a lot of their additional marketing channels. Okay, let's shift to creating unexpected experiences and wowing an audience using some offline channels. Who here has been told the story about the person returning tires to Nordstrom? Right? It put Nordstrom on the map for being obsessed with customer experience. And it was that way. I always thought it was my dad who returned the tires because he was the first person who told me the story and was crestfallen after doing some deep Wikipedia dives later, that it wasn't actually my dad. But nonetheless, Allbirds comes on the scene and is like, yo, Nordstrom, hold my beer, right? So this is Allbirds, founded in 2014 by two Kiwis, environmentally responsible shoes. They're 5 years old, they're based in San Francisco, and they're already valued at over $1 billion. They have an incredible focus on building high-quality customer experience and high-quality products. It bleeds in absolutely everything that they do. So this is their store in San Francisco. You can see it's clean. If you've been to their site, it mirrors it beautifully. It's clear, it's simple, it's intentional. The focus is on the shoes. They have some of the cityscape in the background, these stools and this kind of curved furniture. Has anyone ever been to this store? Okay, so I have two kids. They're 4 years old and 7 years old, and they have the manners of the goats from the last video. And something that I love about the store so much is that the intention of that curved wood is that people can put their feet up. Like, I'm yelling at my kids all the time, get your feet off the furniture, get your hand out of your brother's mouth, everything. But so Allbirds is like, no, we know that it's not a great experience to put on shoes. Like, just come, have a seat, put this up, try on your shoes, and you're good to go. And I think it's amazing. Like, there's no shoe store that's done that before. I remember having terrible experience of having to go to the shoe store and the guy like with that metal thing, and then they measure your foot, and it's just awful. So this is their store in Soho. It's a little bit of a different feel. It's very appropriate for Soho. More wood, a little bit more color. You can see that they highlight some of the materials on the walls. They have, they also have boxes in the back, which they redesigned their boxes so that they could become part of the store, so that the stock people wouldn't have to keep running back into the room and back. They could just keep them there. It makes the entire experience a lot faster for the customers. They don't have that cool curved thing to put your feet up on, but they do have these chairs that actually tilt forward. It's even more comfortable, if you can believe it, than putting your foot up. And they also have a little bit of space underneath the chairs, and that's to put the boxes on while you're trying on the shoes. It's like they thought of everything. It's very thoughtful. It's about the customer. It's making that, it's ensuring that they have a good experience. They understand what's behind the brand. I told you I'm from Chicago. It's hard not to talk about it. Their store in Chicago opened a couple months ago, earlier in 2019, and they have some city-centric laces. They have the Bears navy and the bean silver. And I think that it's really cool that they respect the territory where they're in, and they're creating a deeper connection and localized connection, but it's still inviting for everyone. It's consistent with putting the customer first, no matter where they are, no matter if they've known the brand. And all of their stores are unbelievably inviting. Like, you can read the Yelp reviews for any Allbirds brick and mortar store, and people just like going there, even if they're not buying anything. So what about the brands that don't have a brick and mortar or a physical presence or haven't explored with a pop-up? We know that it was a big thing a couple years ago. There are some parts that make it cost prohibitive, signing longer contracts. But there are opportunities that are showing up all over the place, especially in the last year and a half. This is Showfields. It's part of that new world of transient pop-ups. They create an opportunity for that in real life audience connection for brands that wouldn't otherwise have that opportunity. This is in New York. It's a 4-story concept store. It's part pop-up, part brick and mortar. And it creates an experiential shopping experience. So there's no checkout, there are no salespeople, but there's an opportunity for brands to have, digital-first brands to have an actual presence where brands can have a little bit of a showcase. They get to design the space. Again, it's very social media driven. Everything is Instagram worthy, and you can create an experience that brings the audience closer to your brand without any push of product. You can check out online, you can check out self-checkout, but there aren't any actual salespeople. On the right, this is Hudson Yards, also in New York City. It's this giant new mall in Manhattan, and they have a floor of discovery for digitally native brands, and they have this impeccably merchandised, amazingly curated mix of brands that then have this in real life place to showcase. On the right is Bulletin, which is sort of bringing the WeWork pop-up mix to female-founded digitally native brands. They currently have a 3,000 brand waitlist, but it's amazing. They're gaining a ton of popularity, and they're popping up everywhere. There's a company called Pop-Ups in Texas. They're probably in every single state and across the entire world. These are popping up, and these opportunities for digitally native brands. So offline packaging, it's not the sexiest part of the business, but often overlooked. And there are some very exciting unboxing videos if you've never had the opportunity or the boredom to look on YouTube at some of the unboxing channels. It's really cool. You can get to know more about a brand and how they box and how they present their product. So who gives a crap? They're speaking here tomorrow. For those of you who don't know, they're a sustainable and recycled toilet paper company on a mission to make toilet paper better from both an environmental perspective and a philanthropic. It's toilet paper. Like, this is not the sexiest thing in the world. It's a commodity, but they've created ways to make it more personal through their packaging. It's bright. The toilet paper rolls themselves direct people back to their website. They have amazing things on their boxes. Like, it would be very hard for me to come home to a box on my front porch that said, "You've got a nice bum," and not want to Instagram that. It's a way of showing their personality to the consumer. And it's efficient. It is marketing. So Third Love was created out of frustration for poorly fitting women's bras, which is often overlooked. This is just a snapshot of some of their product inserts. They have a call to action right there on the box. We break the mold. It's empowering. Some people might not want to necessarily share that they were buying undergarments, but hey, this is the other stuff that comes in it. A thank you. It's so simple. It's so often overlooked, but it's actually incredibly powerful in creating that message and giving that to your customer. Here's how it works. You try it on. If it's not a perfect fit, we make an exchange. It's quick, easy. If it's great, fine, take the tags off, wear it, wash it. If it's still not great, like, they're making it very, very easy for someone to say, like, you know what, I'm not absolutely happy, and it's that customer obsession. So I ordered a couple things from Third Love a few months ago, and a week after I'd ordered, I also got a text message. I hadn't said anything. I hadn't posted that I broke the mold, nothing. But it was like another touch point to be like, we really want you to be happy, and if you're not, we're making it very easy for you to share that with us, because we want to make it right. And I think that it's that customer obsession that's setting the brands apart today. Okay, so now let's look outside the box, literally. Has anyone ever heard of Koala? 1, 2, 3. People from Shopify? Great. So for those of you who don't know, think of Koala like the Casper of Australia, founded by two 20-somethings hacking the mattress and now furniture industry. They're disrupting it with a completely different focus, and they've established themselves as sort of a marketing company disguised as a mattress company. Until about a year ago, Koala relied very heavily, exclusively on digital marketing. And then they went rogue. They bought this billboard a couple meters outside of an IKEA, and it says no effing idea, which you can read however you like. And it directed people, it says no tools, no worries, koala.com. And the press and promotion that it got from this billboard was unbelievable. They also got some not very favorable press and promotion, but instead of shying away from it, they just dove right in, they koala'd, they doubled down, and they bought another billboard. And it says, "Dear IKEA, we feel bad about the billboard. We've never had so much hate mail. Good thing we can't read Swedish. Please accept $100 off of our mattress with the code SORRY IKEA." Right? It's crazy. It is awesome. This is just one tiny piece of the awesomeness of Koala. And they've gone after a lot of different people. I'll get into another one in a second. But they estimated the total reach for the billboard spot at over 10 million before the second billboard. So that initial investment, which I'm not saying everybody go buy a billboard, but they've been able to turn it around over and over and over with some additional owned channels, and it's put them on the map. So, has anyone ever heard of Derucci? So Derucci is a global homewares company, also furniture, and most notably known for sheets. And in the video this morning, where Rich from Brooklyn and was talking about that he stayed at a hotel and fell in love with the sheets and wanted to bring that more to mass audience, because those sheets were $800. Derucci is really, really well known for having sheets that cost thousands of dollars and this stern-looking man that's on every single piece of their marketing. And this marketing is all over Australia, Japan, China. They're actually in New York as well. So what did Koala do? These started to pop up all over Koala, all over Sydney, all over Melbourne, all over Perth, where Koala's main audience is. So Koala bought another billboard. This is outside of the Sydney airport. That's actually one of their designers. His name is Dimitri. And if you can't read it, it says, "De Koala, Australia's least pretentious mattress." And then they really turned this around. This is what it looked like on Facebook. And they just said, "Shots fired." Like, Derucci isn't coming back at them, but now you just want to be friends with Koala. Like, that's a relationship with a brand that I think we all really do want. So today, as brands, we need to be absolutely everywhere. We need to think outside the box. We need to make it intentional and really individualized, and most importantly, make it fun, make it authentic and genuine. What we're seeing is successful brands and those forward-thinking brands are driving those authentic connections, and they're investing in their own channels where they can, and leveraging that content creatively across multiple channels. While we've moved past this, there are still many opportunities to create these out-of-the-box experiences, do the unexpected, experiment offline, experiment online, and create the conditions for our consumers to have a real, true, and authentic relationship with us as brands. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much, and thank you, Jamie. I think we have time for one question if you're open to it. Any questions? That was an awesome session. I loved it.
Thank you
so much.
Somebody ask a question about Koala. Do you mean the Rothy's example with the shoes?
Yeah, where they were, like in the wild or,
Yeah.
Is that like right on their homepage?
Yeah. And I've seen more and more brands doing that on the homepage, like a little bit farther down. It's not just on their Instagram and on their Facebook, but it is actually, it's on their website. And so I think that it helps to drive more people to tell their friends, like, you know, look, I'm on the front page now.
Last questions? No? Well, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Jamie. Thank you.
Thank you.